Pastor Alfredo, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you.
I'm giving housekeeping and I don't follow through my own instructions. Sorry, I apologize. I'm so sorry that, if you didn't hear me, of course, our agenda for today is going to be the introduction to Elizabeth. Thank you to Elizabeth and Belen for being here with us. And we will have a brief time for introductions. We will allow you to introduce yourselves. Please unmute yourself when you speak and keep yourself mute in the microphone so your devices when you do not speak, so we won't have sound interference. Okay, let me just tell you something about Elizabeth. It's amazing what she has done, what she's doing in our community. Elizabeth Wilson Moss has been serving as the Executive Director of Interfaith Assistance Ministry since August 2017. A week after Interfaith Assistance Ministry opened its new Crisis Services Center in 310 Freeman Street in Hendersonville. I'm going to abbreviate AM next. Our Interfaith Assistance Ministry is the largest provider of crisis services in Henderson County. Major accomplishments that AM have, accomplished in the community has been creating a safe as possible plan to continue serving our neighbors in need with only our staff and several volunteers during the first COVID surge in 2020. Number 2 is starting drive-through Tuesday food distribution. Number 3, hiring 3 bilingual Latino staff. Number 4, providing more than 23,000 service touches to help local residents living in poverty or experiences financial crisis in 2020, almost double the number compared to 2019. Number 5, increasing AM's partnerships in the community. Number 6, improving AM's order filling time to our neighbors through the use of iPads. Number 8, starting a working women's and working men's clothing closet. Number 9, creating a partnership with a Henderson County Schools Migrant Program and the East Coast Head Start Migrant Program. And number 10, converting our food pantry to a TFAP pantry to lower food costs and serve more 100 people. And the list may continue on and on and on of this wonderful ministry. But before taking AM's helm, Elizabeth worked as the first director of community affairs and outreach for Part D UNC Healthcare Administration for 5 years. Before, she spent several years as a fundraiser and major gifts officer for Part D Hospital Foundation. Her first career was a journalist and editor. She spent several decades working as an award-winning newspaper reporter and magazine writer for the Miami Herald and the St. Petersburg Times and the Boston Globe before moving to Hendersonville, North Carolina with her husband Bill and their 2 children in 1998. In Hendersonville, Elizabeth served as interim director of Creative Beginning Preschool, worked as an adjunct professor at UNC Asheville, teaching journalism and communication classes before joining the Times News to work for publisher Ruth Birch. Everybody knows Ruth, of course. Yeah. She started TNW, the Times News Weekly Edition. She went to become editor of the Mountain Traditions magazine, Day City editor, and Elizabeth community involvement has included past president of the Hendersonville Kiwanis Club, past president of Soft Light and Mainstay, vice chair of United Way of Henderson County and board member, Women's United co-chair, Henderson County Chamber board member, YMCA Advisory Board, Education Foundation, and she is a worship elder at First Presbyterian Church and Sunday school teacher. Elizabeth grew up in South Jersey, just outside of Philadelphia. before graduating from the University of Florida. She has spent all of her adult life in the South and currently resides in Flat Rock with husband Bill and with 2 dogs, Cricket and Callie. She and Bill have a grown daughter and a grown son. Oh, very impressive. I could go on and on and on, but it's what I think I can in the time that is allowed for this presentation. So welcome, Elizabeth. We do appreciate you coming to us. And I would like to, as Elizabeth comes up front, allow and she listen and guide you through introductions, please. Introduce yourself. Just tell your first name and last name and tell us briefly, what do you expect out of these conversations on childhood poverty series in our next couple of weeks and this week? Elizabeth, it's your time. Please come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Alfredo. I really feel honored and blessed to be here, and I appreciate you asking me to join you so much. These topics are so important to our children and to the future of our community, and I'm just really, really grateful to be here. And I also want to thank you for all the support Grace Lutheran has provided. So if you can tell me who you are, that would be great.
Do you want to call on us so we know who you, we don't all talk at once?
Well, let's see. It's kind of hard because I don't see any names. So I'm too far away. Wait a minute. Let's see. I'll try it this way. Honeycutt. You're in the top screen on the left. Honeycutts.
Okay, this is Carol Honeycutt, and I'll let my neighbor introduce herself. She couldn't get her Zoom to work out, so she came up. She lives just down the street from me.
And my name is Joy Sadie, and I'm part of the Justice and Advocacy Committee or Ministry.
And I'm a retired teacher. I've worked with children all my life, but I really don't know that much about the poverty of children in this county because, as I said, I retired before I moved here. So anything I learn will be new.
I'm pretty much in the same boat. So
It's very nice to meet you both. So I guess we'll just continue on the top screen. The next person over to the right looks like Schmidt.
Hi, I'm Becky Schmidt. I'm co-chair of social ministry at Grace. I am a volunteer coordinator for the Feed the Kids program. And I also am a front desk volunteer at the rescue mission. And I'm happy to be here tonight.
Wonderful. Thank you for all that you're doing. Nice to meet you, Becky. Let's see. Kelly?
Hi, I'm Kelly Spangler. I'm a retired social work consultant for the Division of Public Health, and I'm the current chair of the Justice and Advocacy Ministry at Grace.
Wonderful. Nice to meet you. Thank you for what you're doing. Yep. Dodd? Miss Dodd?
Yeah, I don't know why that says I'm Greg Dodd, but I'm actually Judy Stoltenberg.
Okay.
And I was just interested. I'm just interested in learning ways that we could possibly help with the situation with the children in Henderson County.
Thank you for joining us. Nice to meet you. And the Johnsons, Lita. Hello. I know
Hello.
Lita.
I'm Lita Johnson. I'm also, a member of the Justice and Advocacy Committee, and I want to learn more about some of the details of what's happening here in the context of the whole country and what we can do about it.
And I'm Whit Johnson. I was a high school teacher for many years and saw the impact of child poverty on children and on young adults, teenagers, and really am continuing that interest now. I want to learn more, keep learning more about it.
So nice to finally meet you, Whip. I've been looking at your email address for a while and very impressed with your name.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Nelson? Jim?
Yeah, hi, I'm Jim Nelson. I am the Vice President of the Board of Directors with Homes for Youth, and I'm very interested in what you have to say about what's going on in Henderson County with kids.
Great, thank you for what you're doing. Lorian? I think I'm looking at Lorian next.
I'm Lorian Richards. I am a parent educator with Parents as Teachers at Children and Family Resource Center. So my hope is to hear a perspective of what you all are seeing and just kind of share, information and ideas.
Wonderful. You're a fabulous organization. Thank you for what you do. Okay. Next is someone in a beautiful black and white striped shirt.
I'm Diane Sellers, and I'm very, very interested in this topic because I was a teacher for almost 30 years. And the last 10 years of my teaching, I saw the condition of students going down, their health going down, they're not getting the services, resources, food, doctors, just everything. And I just feel like we're letting our children go in this nation. We're not making them a priority in this nation or county.
Thank you. Thank you for your work. Okay. Oh, hi, Pastor Greg. Hi, Brenda.
Hi.
Good evening, Elizabeth. Thanks for coming tonight. I guess everybody knows me. I'll be here a few more weeks as pastor. I'll still be around town though, Elizabeth.
I'd love to take you to lunch, sir. I've been,
I bet.
I'm kind of beyond words that you're leaving, but we'll miss you. And I know you'll still be in everyone's hearts. I can't thank you enough for your support.
Thanks. It's Grace. I'm sure Grace will stay really involved and key among your supporters and volunteers that I am. And this is my wife.
Yeah, I'm Brenda.
Hi, Brenda. It's nice to see you again.
Good to see you. And I'm like a lot of others, I'm interested in hearing more about the child poverty in the county because I know it's hidden.
It is. All poverty really is. Helen? Oh, I think you're muted still, I think, Helen. There's a little button down.
Yeah, there you go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Hi.
Hi. My name's Helen Just. I'm interested in knowing what we can do to directly help the situation. I think probably all of us want to help, but I have no idea how to go about it. I really don't. So I hope you can help with that. Thank you for being here.
You're most welcome. Thank you for your interest. And that's everyone, I think, right? Oh, who did I? Let's see.
You missed Ollie, Alejandrina, and I think you missed Pat. Right?
Okay. If I've missed you, please just take turns talking. Sorry, I have my eyesight isn't very good at distances anymore. Your names are really little on the screen. But so Allie, is there someone, Allie?
My name is Alejandrina Oviedo. I'm working for more than 20 years with the children. I like learning about the Poverty. Thank you. And
Wonderful.
Amparo, my daughter, she is here too.
Hi, Amparo
Hola.
Acosta. Hola, I'm a public health nurse, and I'm happy to hear about this topic. Not happy, but I'm happy to learn more about this topic. So, and this is my grandson.
Oh, Camilito.
Camilo.
Oh, he's adorable.
Thank you.
Public health nurse.
Thank you.
Okay, who else did I miss?
Pat Malinak. Yeah, Pat Malinak, retired WCCA, and a member of the Justice and Advocacy Committee, and I'm hoping to get updated on the latest of the poverty situation for children in Henderson County.
Thank you. What did you do for WCCA? Great organization.
Families for housing purchase their own home. And we taught financial literacy.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And now, Belem. I'd like to introduce Belem Solano, who works for Interfaith Assistance Ministry. And she is our very first director of Latino community outreach. And I cannot begin to tell you the marvelous things she's done. Part of what she's done is starting the partnerships that we now have with the migrant programs and the school system, the Latino food part of our pantry. Belem was instrumental in, and I could just go on and on. So I will let her come up here for a minute.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Belén Solano, and I'm working with Interfaith. And I think I don't want to talk too much right now. I'm gonna wait till it's my turn, but it's nice to be with you guys and learn together. Yeah, and I'm a member of Grace too since 2000. I think it was 2005 or 4, sometime like that. So it was nice to see you, everybody.
Thank you, Belem. So from here, okay, all right. The thing that surprised me the most when I took over at Interfaith Assistance Ministry 4 years ago was just how much poverty there is and how much hunger there is. And I've been planning to do this. I just haven't gotten a chance yet, but I would like to take all of our government officials on a little caravan tour of our lowest income neighborhoods. And people don't, for some reason, this word isn't popular now, but these are very, very poor people. And they're people who are living in neighborhoods in our county that no one is aware of. And they're living sometimes 2-3 families in a horrible, dilapidated trailer. They're living in unsafe housing. They don't have transportation. And often their entire family is hungry. So what we learned since I got to IAM, and Alfredo helped me with this, he serves on our board. And I was concerned because we were only serving a small portion of our Latino community. So we have really, really made great strides in that. In 2019, we served 1,011 Latino families. In 2020, during the pandemic, when we reached out with the help of Belem and our other Latino staff, and started the drive-through Tuesdays and gained people's trust, we now served in 2020 over 9,000 families. So we have seen our service figures more than double in the last year for need. And when it comes to children, it's more heartbreaking than anyone else to see a child who's poor or a child walk in with shoes that don't fit. I helped a little girl one day who walked in with one red shoe and one black shoe on, and they were both for her right feet. They were right foot. When she left with 3 pairs of shoes, clothes to wear. Her mom had food for the whole family and knew she could come back. Their dad had lost his job and they didn't have any savings because he didn't earn very much. And the mother still kept her job, but she was a low-wage earner. So we were able to give them everything they needed to stay in their house, some assistance with rent, food, clothing for the kids, and help them with their power bill. We also help with personal hygiene items. And at first when I came, I thought, why do we give people, why are we devoting so much space to sheets and blankets and towels? And then I learned that so many of the people that we help who are living at or below the federal poverty rate, that the sheets that we give them, which are gently used, are often the first sheets they've ever had. So basically, you can't, when you talk about children in poverty, you have to look at the whole family, because you can't help the children if you're not helping the parents and the family. And it's a sad situation. Our school systems are working really, really hard on it. Agencies like Children and Family Resource Center are doing an amazing job assisting young moms and with classes that help and diapers and wipes and food. And we have some of that. We don't have the classes for moms. We do stock some diapers and formula and baby food. And we make sure we're really, really proud of the food that we give families. When I first came, we gave people food once every 3 or 4 months. Now we give people food once a week if they need it. And we do that. It's not a box of food. It's a full 7 days worth of nutritious food. We give out produce and people walk out with things like chicken and beef, sometimes giant slabs of ribs, fish, all kinds of fresh produce, items that you can make meals from. It's not a random assortment of items. It's items that will feed every member of the family for a whole week. Because those of you who have been teachers and who have worked with children in the Feed the Kids program know how important it is for a child to learn to be fed well. So in addition to doing that, right before COVID, we had started a new program to teach people about nutrition, because we found that a lot of folks couldn't afford to purchase vegetables that often and didn't know what to do with, say, an eggplant or a zucchini. So we were giving demonstrations and handing out a lot of recipes. The other things we do for children and their parents is we counsel them on their budgets and we help them. We take a look at it and we see if there are any ways they can change some of their spending. Usually there's not much that can be done. They just simply don't earn enough. And it's not because they don't want to earn more, but they're earning what they're capable of earning. And that's something I didn't totally understand either, that not everyone can be educated and, to a master's degree or a PhD and earn a large income. So many of our families are just trying to survive. So we try to, as far as going to school, at the beginning of the school year, we give every child who comes to us a totally new outfit. We always give out new underwear and socks and as many new shoes as we can. And in addition to that, we give them several gently used outfits because we want them to feel as good as every other child that is starting school. We give great referrals to Children Family Resource Center, WCCA, Smart Start. Our partners, we have over 30 partners that we work with that we refer people to. The pandemic really changed things for us. We are seeing people that we've never helped before because of job loss, because of COVID, sickness and illness and layoffs. Another thing we started to help the families and the children, we started it was a drive. In addition to the drive-through, we started the emergency COVID delivery project, and we partnered with Council on Aging because we'd started to get calls from the school system that there were families and the entire family was quarantined with COVID and they had no transportation and no way to get food. So I called up my friend at Council on Aging, Keith Logan, and said, hey, Keith, if we can get the food together, will you supply the drivers? So he said yes, and that's still going strong. Although last week he didn't have the volunteers to drive the food. So Belem and another one of our staff delivered the food. Right before we started it, the first orders we got, I delivered the food to the families. And what we do when that happens is we give safe delivery. We put it on their porch. It took me 4 hours to get food to 2 families because I couldn't find the neighborhoods. And I finally did. You'll go to a neighborhood where, say, migrant workers work or people who work in agriculture, and the same road will have the same name. 3 different roads can have the very same name. So I drove and drove, and I finally was able to figure out where one of the families lived. And it was just awful. It made me cry when I saw the condition, but I put all the food on their porch, and then I went back to my car and I watched the little children start coming out, and they were overjoyed, and they were pulling boxes of cereal out and milk and bananas, and they were just so, so happy. So then Belem, thank goodness, she had the great idea to start working with our migrant community, because even though they get help, they're very underserved still. And she'll tell you at the next 2 weeks, is it now, or 3 weeks from now, at that meeting, more about how that program works. So one of the worst problems that we have in this county that cause child poverty are low-paying wages, no public transportation, and we have a great PowerPoint presentation I can bring another time to show you. We have something called Apple Country, but it doesn't go to the poor neighborhoods, and it doesn't operate at night or on the weekends. So if you work 3rd shift and your car breaks down, you're out of luck. So transportation is a huge issue, and one that we're looking into with some grant proposals for next year that I don't want to speak about them until we get the money, but we're trying to figure out a way to help people with transportation. The other thing is lack of affordable housing. What do you think the average lowest cost of the lowest rental you could get in this community is? Does anybody have a guess?
500 for the lowest.
Nope. It's a good guess though. Anybody else? It's more. So 4 years ago, the lowest was $700. And now we're seeing that creep up to 800. And that's for a 1-bedroom place, unless you can get on the list for housing assistance. And that list is long and takes years. So what happens is the folks that we're helping now, for the average not very nice mobile home or a not very safe, some of them look like shacks, they can cost $1,000, $1,200 a month. We have a situation that we're helping a young mother with, where her baby was born with birth defects. So her husband couldn't take the stress of that situation. So he walked out, and she couldn't do her work as a bookkeeper. But the apartment complex where she lives refused, because they knew her situation, they refused to give her a year's month rent. So they charge her, because she doesn't have a rent agreement for a year, they're charging this poor young woman whose baby his arteries were misconnected. I mean, his problems go on and on. They charge her $300 a month because they won't give her an annual rent agreement. So she's on several waiting lists for affordable housing. And affordable housing, once folks get into that, is more your $400, $500 amounts that was guessed. So it's a very complex problem. And I had no idea how complex it was. In Henderson County, there are, as of the latest census information we have, there's about 10.8% people living in poverty. But if you go to the city limits, it shoots up to, of Hendersonville, it shoots up to 17%. So fortunately, we are very, very blessed in this community to have some fabulous nonprofits and some really caring congregations like you, and some donors with huge hearts. And together, we're making sure that kids aren't going hungry. You know, whether they have free or reduced lunch, their parents can come to us for the rest of their meals every week. We were spending, we actually had a $75,000 month for food expenses last year. Now we've become part of a federal program called TFAP, which has helped reduce our monthly grocery expenses to $30,000, $35,000. So that's much more affordable. So I don't want to be totally depressing, because this community is terrific, and every one of you are fabulous for wanting to do this and for wanting to help. I wish I had one small answer, but part of a solution that would help, and it's not popular when I talk about it. I belong to Partnership for Health and several homeless groups. And I've spoken to our leadership in government. If we had better zoning codes here, we could have safer housing. But apparently, there's too many people that don't want that to happen. So in terms of advocacy, that's a good one that we could all work on. The public transportation. If we could get Apple Country to run 24/7 and go to the poor neighborhoods, it doesn't even go to the Habitat neighborhoods. Those things would help a lot. During the pandemic and other times, even we have seen parents who get behind in their rent. You know, there's an illness or someone loses a job, they have hours cut. And when push came to shove, they had to decide whether they wanted to stay in their home or their car, keep their car. And they chose to become homeless and live in their cars because that meant they could still get to work. So basically 1 in 6 of the families and individuals that we interview, they are either in poverty or on the verge of it. And it often starts with that lack of a car. They need, you know, their transmission blows up or whatever, they need an alternator, whatever it is, and they just can't afford it. And that leads to missed work. And then they get behind on their bills. And then they can't buy their kids clothes and take care of their health. So it's all kind of a vicious cycle. But fortunately, there are those of us who are on the front lines and working really hard every day to help. So what questions do you have for me? I can't see your names too well, so hi.
Oh, I have a question, Pat. Can you expand a little bit on, how can I say this? How your advocacy, I don't mean you personally, but because you're the one with the eyes of the unseen for the rest of us or the rest of the county, if you were to tackle transportation or the housing situation, or you called it zoning, but I think it has to do with condemned housing being used for housing, you know, in any other county or any other state, it would have been condemned, but they're charging $1,000. You know, there's no housing guidelines about that. So that's a bigger issue that would require all our community congregations to kind of have out of their social ministry committees, like 1 or 2 people who would help organize. Is that something that is even close to your radar screen?
I actually think that if we started the conversation and that our government officials realized that there were many churches, faith congregations concerned about, and it comes down to the zoning code. That's what leads to a condemned home. The way it works in our county right now, only the landlords can call in a complaint about the housing, and so that's not happening. So yeah, I think that could be helpful. And in terms of the vehicles, I actually got invited to serve on another committee with one of the legacy foundations that are working in our community, Pisgah Health Foundation. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but they may come through and fund a vehicle repair and vehicle purchase project that'll become an arm of IAM next year if we get the funding. So I was part of a committee that was looking at what they thought were they wanted to see 3 big needs that could actually be tackled with, say $1.5 million. And that, don't quote me on that number because they haven't given us that number, but that was the best guideline we could find out. And they're working with every county in Western North Carolina. So our committee came up with the vehicle repair program and a early childhood education learning bus that would travel around to some of these neighborhoods where children are not going to preschool. And there's one more. It just flew out of my head, Belem. Let's see. The third one is, I think it was helping pay some of the housing costs too. Yeah, the housing repair. So, oh no, it wasn't. I'm sorry. We talked about that. It wound up being, you've probably heard of, there's a proposal of something called the Connection Center. And I'm on an advisory board for that. And what it would do is offer folks who are in need one building they could go to and learn about services they needed. It would have showers for homeless folks. It's a really good idea. It would have a representative from Thrive for behavioral health, somebody from United Way, the school system would have somebody there, DSS would have somebody there, Department of Social Services. It doesn't make sense for us to actually have someone there yet because so much of what we do involves food, clothing, necessities. But we could, what we're hoping to do is have some kind of referral for us on the phone system from there, or have some volunteers. But that's the third project that was approved for funding for that. Meanwhile, there are 5 other legacy foundations that are pouring money into this community and kind of trying to figure out what Western North Carolina needs. And they're millions of dollars they have as a result of the sale of Mission Hospital. So because Mission went from a nonprofit to a private hospital, they had to distribute some of the wealth that came from the sale of that. So it's a great opportunity for nonprofits in this community to really, really try to focus on some of our greatest needs. And then there's also and I just finished my application for the grant on Friday, the American Rescue Act, which is part of the COVID money that's come down through the federal government. And I applied for IAM for rent assistance because the moratorium on rent evictions is over. You probably know that. And I also applied for money for food because those are huge expenses right now. So what other questions do you have?
I'd like to ask a question. You talk about these little pockets of poverty. Are they spread out throughout the county? Are they very rural? Is it all of the above? Because they're hidden, I don't know where they are even.
Yeah, people don't feel bad. Most people don't know where they are. They're sprinkled around our community, and they're usually in the more agricultural areas. Like Edneyville has a lot of housing for migrant farmers and their families. Also out in Dana, which is similar, there's still apple country. And then if you go out Upward Road, there's communities out there, but it's amazing how far you can drive and still see poverty. So there's there's pockets all around. And another project we're working on is, and we got half of the money, but we've applied to 2 different grantors to buy a refrigerated truck so we can go into those neighborhoods and bring them food. So people who still aren't making it to us, so they can come shop. And we'll also do things like bring them clothing at some of our drive-through Tuesdays. Belem and our staff came up with these great ideas during COVID. They started, it was freezing cold and it's a Tuesday and they're handing out coats. Whole carloads of people are getting coats. And they really hustled. They had to find out, well, what size does your child need? And they gave out a lot of coats and hats and scarves. What else did you guys give out? Blankets. Yep. Tons and tons of blankets.
Okay, thank you.
Elizabeth, this is Kelly. I was wondering if you have seen any direct benefit of the folks that come to IM for assistance of the child tax credit. And my understanding is, if you're not, and clarify for me on this, I'm pretty sure you have to be a US citizen to get it. So your migrants would not be eligible for that assistance. But have you seen an impact on that extra money? And also, are you seeing people that are not aware that they qualify for it and they're not connected to the credit?
Yes, no, and yes. So we are through our intake department, we hand out flyers about it and we make sure people are aware of it, and it has helped some folks. What happens is that sometimes just the simple technology is very difficult for a family. So we're trying to help with that as well. But that definitely does help. And I'm glad you're advocating for it for those who are able to get it.
I have a question.
And let me just add, Helen, one second, just to be clear, the migrants do not qualify for SNAP assistance for food stamps, correct? So correct. Their needs are great because they're not able to access a lot of the assistance that is available.
Correct. That's right. And part of what we had to do too, and again, I think she's a saint personally, but Belem has helped us bridge the trust gap that we had. When we build our big new building, it's beautiful. I'm grateful. Grace Lutheran helped us build it. But if you're an undocumented citizen, and I prefer to say someone who is working on their citizenship or who wants to become a citizen, if you're that person, it looks like we're in a scary gray government building. So we've done a lot with landscaping to try to make it look more friendly. But honestly, it's been a trust issue. And a lot of that trust has been accomplished through working with other Latino agencies in our community. And also, I mean, we restarted, Belem did this too. During COVID, there used to be a Latino group that stayed connected and networked with each other. Well, that disappeared, but Belem restarted it. We had, was it 30 different representatives? Yeah, at IAM right before this next latest surge of Delta variant came. So yeah, I feel so grateful that we have staff that has helped us bridge those trust issues. We also worked, and I'll say this now that it's basically kind of over, but the Catholic Church came to us and several of the leaders asked to have a meeting with me before, this is way before COVID, It's like 2018 when we were having ICE visit, and our undocumented Latinos, as well as those who were terrified. And some people were not coming out of their homes, and they were in their homes with no way to get food. So we just started a little system where we would be notified that there were hungry families, and then people from Immaculate Conception came and picked up the food. It's my understanding you were involved in that somewhat too, but that was kind of below the radar, so don't get us in trouble for that. We weren't doing anything wrong at all, but we just, politics are scary out there right now. So anyway, am I at 5? Okay, I'm getting the 5 minutes. I apologize for rambling so much. There's just so many tentacles to this.
Elizabeth, how close do you work with El Centro?
Oh, we work closely with Sergio. He's great.
Good.
Yep. And we also work really closely with Ola Carolina. Yeah. Their leader is on our board, Adriana Chavella.
I accidentally cut Helen off. Did you want to share something, Helen?
No, I just had 2 comments. I moved here from Texas, and we had a lot of migrant families, but they were from the United States. They just traveled around and picked the crops. They went all over the United States. Are all the migrants that we have, are they all undocumented? Are they all coming from somewhere else?
Oh, no, we have many who are documented.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, I don't speak Spanish, and I have been trying now for 5 years, and I work on this at night. But are there things that somebody like me who doesn't seem to be very quick in learning a language can do to help? If I went into a neighborhood that was mostly Latino, I wouldn't be able to do anything.
Well, I will throw that one back to Pastor Alfredo and Belém, because I have had 8 years of Spanish between middle school, high school, and college, and I'm still not fluent. So I know you need to speak it all the time, but do you guys want to take that one? What are there any tools that might help those who really studying Spanish and wants?
If you can come and volunteer with us, you can practice some of those words. We would need some volunteers. I mean, and then the numbers is growing, so you will have a lot of communication, and then we have a lot of staff and volunteers. They speak more Spanish, and then they even use their phones, or they try to say it, and then they learn about 3 sentences, but that's all they need to help somebody.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I don't remember. Yeah, but we have, so you're welcome to come too.
We recently, I'll have to get the name of it, but we found an app. So our receptionists, when they can't reach Belém or Paula or Alicia, they'll use this app, and it's really helpful apparently. So we can find out the name of that and get it to you.
Good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you all for caring and for your support. Anybody else? I have 3 minutes, Alfredo. Okay. Is there anything I didn't cover that you were hoping I would? Well, Lita, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Are the majority then of the people you are helping Latino, or are there other people that also need as much help?
Good question. So the majority of people that we help at Drive Through Tuesday are 70% are Latino, but throughout the week, the majority are still white, Caucasian, and it's always been that way. We're working hard to try to also gain the trust in our Black community. We have 2 Black representatives on our board, and we have had more recently come into the drive-through. I've noticed with that. But basically, we help everyone. We, you know, the only reason I've mentioned it is because it's something that we've been working on, and we're so happy because really the poorest people in this community are Latino. And I've struggled to get the words right too. I'm like, well, is it Latinx or is it Hispanic? And I've finally been told that safest thing I could do was say Latino. Is that, or Latina? Is that correct, Pastor Alfredo? Yeah, the younger ones, Latinx.
Yeah.
Who were born here, right? I think. Anyway, thank you all so much for your hospitality and for all of you're doing. And let me give you my phone numbers. And I don't know if you have my cell and my email, but if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. My work phone number is 697-7029. And my cell phone number is 606-2847. And my email is elizabethmoss@iam-hc.org. Thank you so much. And I really want to get together with you, Pastor Greg, before you go.
I should probably just say, take a number.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
No, I look forward to talking to you, Elizabeth. We'll be around. We'll be around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, even though we are not in person, we can say thank you. Yeah, we can hear that delay, but we can hear it. But thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Belen, for being here with us. Thanks to you, those who are participants from distance and Zoom. Thank you very much. We invite you for next week, 7 p.m. same time for the second, we can say, conversation on this theme. And Kelly will be leading this section. So it will be hopefully more informative, helpful, and more practical things that we can do to address issues that affect our community, especially our children. Many things I hope I got, very good information and ideas. And I think that I can think and do things for connected to Grace, to a wonderful social ministry we have, and many other ministries we do support. Thank you very much. And I could just say that Elizabeth, in my almost 30 years living here in Henderson County and being part of AM ministry from the very beginning, I have been there, from distance, sometimes invited to come part of the leadership, but she has done in terms of earning the trust of the community who needs the services of AM more than 28 years before, in terms of bringing diversity in their staff and the staff there. And that has been my voice of bringing equity, of equal opportunity, and earning trust of the communities we serve. So that, and she has done, she has 3 staff fully bilingual now, culturally sensitive, and their staff that are for sure earning and serving those populations that need most their services. So thank you, Elizabeth. I do really appreciate that. And that's becoming more frequent in our community. And of course, in Grace, we have been leading this for 16 years in many congregations across this county, to bring diversity and multicultural and sensitivity for serving better our community for those in need. So thank you very much, Elizabeth. It's time to go. Once again, thank you. We hope to see you next week, Sunday, 26, 7 p.m. And you have a very blessed weekend and look forward to continue this conversation. Thank you very much.